Citizen science started with just people helping researchers gathering data, but now it has evolved. It covers many things, from just gathering data to really help taking decisions to managers. You can spend your time in Facebook or Instagram, but also you can spend half of this time helping researchers approach their objectives. I'm Bernat Claramunt, and most of my research is focused on how biodiversity is responding to changing environmental conditions like climate change. And most of my research uses a citizen science approach. Biodiversity is the group of species from big species to bacteria, the species that we don't see, including humans as well. It's life on Earth, actually. Extinctions are occurring at a rate that's extremely high. So it's really an emergency, and climate change is the cause, but the consequences is a crisis on biodiversity and ecosystem services. There's still lots of species that we don't know they exist. There's many of them that are now disappearing at rates that had never happened before. We need to know what we have around us, maybe just to prevent the extinctions of the most vulnerable ones, or if you want to be more practical, the ones that can help us, giving us some kind of service, so we can assess which are more vulnerable to climate change or to land use change, and so then we can take actions to prevent this. We used to talk sometimes about, let's say, flag species, the species that if we protect them, they help us protect the landscape around them. This can be a good entry point to realize that biodiversity is important. We know bees, we know that they are important for some services that they give us. So I think they are a good entry point, but of course they are not the only important ones. Especially in Catalonia, there's lots of fishes that are disappearing from our rivers due to invasive species. And there's lack of knowledge on how these invasive species are impacting on our landscapes, in this case rivers. And also amphibians are suffering a lot from climate change. Hundreds of plants are now disappearing. Plants that are small plants, nice flowers, but they are there and they are disappearing. There's a project in a platform called Natusfera that people can upload pictures of invasive or species that they don't know really, that go through this platform to the Catalan database of exotic species. And this is really important. I mean, and really you don't need to know whether it's an invasive or not, because we have like alarm systems that when somebody uploads a picture of a given species that's in the list, somebody gets an alarm, and so we can verify it and send it to this database. And I think this is a very good way to help assess and map the presence of invasive species in Catalonia. There are hundreds of projects prepared by researchers or even by the civil society that try to approach different problems related to biodiversity and the environment. And you don't need to be an expert of anything. I mean, there's now technological tools that make things very easy for the average citizen to participate in lots of different projects. So you can help in many ways, and things are very easy. There's lots of opportunities for let's say, an average citizen to help research teams. Less Facebook, more citizen science apps. Less Instagram and more citizen science.